Imagine waking up to the news that the Eiffel Tower had been secretly sold for scrap. It sounds impossible. Yet in 1925, one man convinced wealthy businessmen that France's most famous landmark was about to be dismantled, and one of them eagerly paid millions for the privilege of buying it. Not once, but twice. This is the unbelievable story of Victor Lustig, often called the greatest con artist who ever lived. Paris, 1925. The First World War had ended only a few years earlier. France was rebuilding, government spending was under pressure, and newspapers frequently complained about the enormous cost of maintaining the Eiffel Tower. Originally built for the 1889 World's Fair, the tower had never been intended to stand forever. Many Parisians had even wanted it removed after the exhibition. Victor Lustig saw those public debates and realized something extraordinary. If enough people already believed the tower was expensive and temporary, perhaps they could be convinced it was about to disappear. The perfect con. Lustig was no ordinary criminal. He was elegant, multilingual, impeccably dressed, and incredibly persuasive. Instead of stealing by force, he stole through confidence. His victims willingly handed him their money because they trusted him. To pull off his biggest scheme yet, Lustig forged official government stationery and adopted the identity of a high-ranking official in France's Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs. He then secretly invited 6 of Paris's largest scrap metal dealers to an exclusive meeting at the luxurious Hôtel de Crillon. The invitation emphasized one thing above all: absolute secrecy. A government secret. Inside the hotel, Lustig spoke calmly and confidently. He explained that maintaining the Eiffel Tower had become far too expensive. The government, he claimed, had quietly decided to demolish it. To avoid public outrage, the decision was being kept strictly confidential until the contracts were finalized. The tower's thousands of tons of iron would soon become the largest scrap metal sale in French history. The dealers listened in disbelief. The opportunity was enormous. Whoever secured the contract could become incredibly wealthy. Then Lustig took them on a private tour of the Eiffel Tower itself. Standing beneath the giant iron structure made the story feel real. Every detail had been carefully planned. Choosing the victim. Among the dealers, one man stood out. André Poisson. Poisson desperately wanted to establish himself among Paris's elite businessmen. Lustig sensed both his ambition and his insecurity. Those qualities made him the perfect target. Then came the final twist. Lustig quietly hinted that, like many government officials, he expected a personal payment to approve the winning bid. In other words, a bribe. Ironically, the illegal bribe made the entire scheme seem more authentic. Poisson believed he wasn't being scammed. He believed he was participating in the kind of corruption powerful people often hide. He paid the purchase price. He paid the bribe. And Victor Lustig disappeared. Why nobody reported it? When Poisson finally realized the truth, he faced an impossible choice. Report the crime. Or admit to everyone that he had tried to secretly buy the Eiffel Tower and had willingly offered a government official a bribe. The humiliation was unbearable. So he stayed silent. That silence became Lustig's greatest victory. Without a police investigation, he escaped to Austria with a fortune. Selling the Eiffel Tower. Again. Most criminals would have stopped there. Victor Lustig did the opposite. A few weeks later, he returned to Paris. He recreated the forged documents. Booked another luxury hotel. Invited another group of scrap metal dealers. And attempted to sell the Eiffel Tower all over again. This time, however, one potential victim grew suspicious and contacted the authorities. Before police could arrest him, Lustig fled France for good. Even though the second attempt failed, the fact that he believed he could repeat the exact same scam remains one of history's most astonishing displays of confidence. fooling Al Capone. Lustig's talents weren't limited to Europe. Years later, he crossed paths with one of America's most feared criminals, Al Capone. Instead of asking for money outright, Lustig requested $50,000 to finance a supposedly profitable investment. Capone agreed. But Lustig never invested a single dollar. He simply locked the money away for 2 months. Then he returned every cent. Apologizing, he claimed the business deal had unexpectedly collapsed. Capone was shocked. In a world where everyone tried to cheat him, this well-dressed businessman had voluntarily returned every dollar. Impressed by what he believed was honesty, Capone rewarded Lustig with $5,000 for his apparent integrity. That reward had been Lustig's plan all along. Without risking Capone's money, he had successfully conned one of America's most dangerous gangsters. The end of the greatest con artist. Victor Lustig continued committing elaborate frauds throughout the 1920s and 1930s. His schemes ranged from counterfeit money operations to sophisticated financial scams across Europe and the United States. Eventually, authorities caught up with him. In 1935, he was arrested by the U.S. Secret Service for counterfeiting. After his conviction, he was sent to the infamous federal prison on Alcatraz Island. There, the world's greatest confidence man spent the final years of his life. Victor Lustig died in prison in 1947. Legacy. The Eiffel Tower still stands today as one of the most recognizable landmarks on Earth. Millions visit it every year. Few realize that one man once convinced successful businessmen they could legally buy it for scrap. Not only did they believe him, one of them paid. And because shame kept the victim silent, Victor Lustig became bold enough to try selling the Eiffel Tower a second time. His story is a reminder that the most powerful scams rarely depend on force. They depend on trust, on secrecy, on greed, and on our willingness to believe what we desperately want to be true. Sometimes, the greatest trick isn't stealing something valuable. It's convincing someone they can own the impossible.